First of all, I just want to say thank you for spending your lunch hour with us. I promise we'll make it worthwhile. And it's good to see you all here and have this great gathering of technologists all in one place. Today, we are going to spend a few minutes talking about how to build products that our users love, and also how to build them fast and iteratively. I think we can all acknowledge that over the course of the past few years, the way users find the tools that they love has really changed and adjusted. They used to interact with companies, maybe through their Salesforce or customer care, and now they're really discovering them on their own. They're playing with them on their own. They're talking to fellow users in different social media areas to really learn about the products. Therefore, it really changes the way we as companies have to think about building those products, how to make them easy to use. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. We've got two great co-founders, running companies that not only have built their products with this in mind, but also enable this new journey. I'd like to introduce Linda Lian, the co-founder and CEO of Common Room, and Christine Spang, the co-founder and CTO of Nihilus. I would love both of you if you could just give a little introduction to yourself and your company. And I always love to hear a highlighted customer experience so we can really understand how customers are using your products. So Linda.
Awesome. Well, it's so great to be here today talking about the modern user journey and what it means to build great products that users love. Co-founder and CEO of Common Room. So we help developer relations, community, and sales and marketing teams add really modern enterprise software brands. Basically map and visualize the modern user journey and take action along the entire spectrum of it. We are the only platform that kind of combines three of the most important and high signal data sources that are, constructing that modern user journey within the software world. The first one is digital engagement or community engagement. So think about you as a consumer of software. Where are you going to really learn from other users? If you're a developer, where are you going to learn about tools that developers in your space love to use? You're probably visiting a digital community. That engagement is so incredibly important to the growth and that flywheel of modern enterprise software companies. The second piece of data that we aggregate onto our platform into a unified view is product usage data. As Hope mentioned, with the rise of free trial and freemium, end users are empowered to try out a product before they ever have to talk to sales. And so that product usage and those product activation signals become incredibly important drivers of your understanding of your customer journey. And then the last piece that we bring in is still that traditional customer relationship manager or CRM view. And for us, it's all about bridging that modern end user-led adoption model with traditional sales and marketing tactics that are still really important.
Christine.
Hey, everybody. My name is Christine Spang, and I'm the founder and CTO of Nihilus. We are a developer platform that makes it super simple for developers to connect their end users' email and calendar accounts to their applications. I thought it was really interesting when I ended up on this panel with Linda because a lot of our customers actually build very similar experiences where they're bringing context in from a lot of different channels into productivity tools. And so we've actually seen thousands of different customers trying to build different things that bring that data in from a lot of different places. And we essentially provide the easy-to-use solution to bring in data from email as well as calendars, and then to automate workflows that make use of that data, and then also to essentially find the signal in the noise. If you think about a mailbox, it's essentially a huge pile of documents, and typically folks are trying to do things with some certain subset of that. So how do you find them, and then how do you kind of structure and make it easy to connect those that data to other parts of applications? We also have found that product-led growth has been a really integral part of our journey and how we're building and growing the platform. Since the very beginning, we've found that sort of inbound leads have been a really key part of our funnel, and that people go and they check out our developer docs. They read reviews on sites like G2 Crowd. And so we've spent a lot of time investing in the developer experience because it's so important to make sure that people don't fall out of the funnel, get disinterested, run into roadblocks, and just kind of get stuck before they even end up in front of a person from your team. Because today in 2023, people aren't expecting to go and take a call from sales on day one. They want to sign up, try the product, and maybe even get all the way to putting in a credit card without necessarily engaging with a person from your team.
Christine, you just did a great job of articulating what this modern user journey is starting to look like. The other word that always comes to mind is the product-led growth strategy, and how our users are finding our products, I want to use the word organically, or on their own. So as you think about building your products, and one of the things I love about having the two of you on this panel is you're not only building a product that needs to have a product-led growth engine, but you're enabling other people to build that. Linda, I'd love to hear from you some tips and tricks on as you approach building a product to make it friendly to the new journey and the product-led growth engine.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I would say it all comes down to building an incredible and passionate community of users and influencers and partners and champions that are going to be advocating for your product in the digital spheres, right? We kind of called this part of our strategy community-led growth. So I didn't give a customer example, but we work with incredible community-led companies like Airtable, Asana, Figma, Notion, MongoDB, Snowflake, Databricks, AWS, Vercel. Because if you know these companies, you know that end user adoption and really getting out there and building a product that these end users love is really key to their ability to build a business and ultimately sign up enterprise customers. We always like to say people adopt software, companies buy software. And that's really like the state of the modern user journey today. I always think about how the modern journey, it's highly digital, it's incredibly fragmented, and it's user first. And so when we were building Common Room, we thought, okay, we want to build community in these highly fragmented digital channels because we want to meet our users where they like to engage with us, right? We all find out about the software that we want to use at work through our friends on the internet, in the digital watering holes where we're already getting all that information, whether it's Twitter or Discord or Reddit or Slack or GitHub. And all of these fragmented digital channels are not at all tied into a modern software company's conception of their customer journey. And we intuitively, as software consumers, see how ludicrous that is, right? Because there's an incredible amount of digital engagement happening every single day that, to Hope's point, again, is not kind of part of that view within a legacy CRM. So that's kind of the digital engagement community side. And, we really went out and built our brand on social. That was from the start a massive part of our strategy. We built a community in Slack before we ever wrote a line of code. We found individuals that shared a passion for our problem space, that would give us time, would give us feedback. I think we started with a Slack group of only 10 people who we would engage with every single day. And now we're lucky to have a community of 21,000 individuals who engage with us all day across all these digital channels. So users, highly digital, highly fragmented. You got to meet them where they want to engage. I think the second piece of Hope's question is, it's incredibly user-led today, right? Think about how empowered we all are to ultimately, and developers especially, to find and adopt and advocate for the tools that they want to use. And so I think this concept of PLG, product-led growth, or really integrating those product usage metrics into your understanding is kind of that second piece.
Yeah.
And historically, companies that have leveraged their CRM, it shows you what your sales reps think is happening. It shows you that a sales rep had a call. It shows you that a sales rep sent out a cold email. But more and more today, sales reps only see, Gartner has a stat, 5% of the modern customer journey. So much of that evaluation and adoption and decision making happens, far beyond, far before the time when someone is, going to answer a call from a sales rep.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's user-led,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we're talking about. This new modern journey is really led by the user, not by the company selling. And Christine, you mentioned the word friction, which is you want to remove all friction from that journey, right?
Yeah.
In order to get that user as far down the path as you possibly can. I'd love to hear from you, Christine, some tips and tricks on where you see those points of friction and how to alleviate them.
Yeah, so for us, our primary user are developers. Typically, when we're out selling the product, it's not always the developer who's writing the check, but it's always the developer who's our champion internally and that has to kind of sign off on, yes, this solves the problem, and yes, this is something that will be worthwhile for us to essentially close the deal. So one thing that's been really important to us because of that developer persona being so important is really kind of catering and tailoring our onboarding experience towards developers. So, we went and instrumented kind of all of our onboarding journey. And one thing that we found that was really important was essentially kind of mapping use cases of what people are trying to build to how do you actually build that thing, because we found that the most kind of common sort of way that people would get stuck in our onboarding journey was that, you essentially get dumped into kind of the reference manual of our documentation, and then people would kind of get lost in this maze of having too many options and essentially having to figure things out from too low a level. So we put a lot of investment into revamping that flow to really show front and center, what are you trying to build today? And kind of, it would have been hard for us to do this up front because we didn't necessarily know all the things people were trying to build. But today, many years down the journey, we have thousands of customers and we know all the things that they're trying to build. And there have been really obvious patterns that have kind of jumped out of that. And so, we sort of prompt common things people are trying to build, and then we actually kind of provide people with a scaffold to start from, some example code that people can then take and edit and put that in their development environment and have a working app that shows the power of the platform on that same day that they sign up. So I think it's really important to get to that point of seeing the value and then, not having places where people kind of get lost in a maze of not knowing what the next thing to do is, so that they can have a reason to keep coming back and then ultimately have a reason to, put in their credit card at the end of the day and become a paying customer.
Yeah, so we've really hit on how we pull the user through the journey and make sure they're loving our products. One of the things that I'd love to dig a little bit deeper onto is, and you mentioned, Christine, iteratively learning from them. So how do we learn so we can produce products that they love faster? And how do we get that quick feedback? Christine, I'll let you kick us off.
Sure. Yeah, for us, it's kind of two different things. One is using sort of data and instrumentation. You can kind of use a lot of different tools to, instrument your website to see where kind of people drop off and stop engaging. That's kind of a first step. But I think it's also really important to reach out to actual users and get on the phone with them and interview them and talk to them, because I see this so many places, like data never tells the whole story. You kind of have to guess what's happening and what does it mean. But you get a ton more kind of nuance and rich information if you can actually just get in front of actual users, observe what they're doing, ask what they were trying to do. And you can never talk to your customers too much. So you might have to reach out to a lot of different folks to get someone who's willing to get on the call, but it's really worthwhile. You just get so much valuable information by doing that.
Yeah, so Linda, I feel like with Common Room, you are providing a solution to hear from the customers quickly and iteratively. So what are some of the best places to go?
Yeah, so definitely echo Christine. You know, you have to look at those product metrics and identify those breakage points to reduce friction. I think, you know, Facebook had this, they kind of had this iconic thing that if a user, you know, added like 10 friends within 7 days, they would be a lot stickier on the product and they would activate. And I think that you can apply that to any software business. There's always these moments where, you know, you can recognize that they may be heading down a certain use case, or their usage of a feature might help you identify, you know, what they're trying to do. So product metrics is definitely important. We obviously go and talk to our customers, whether it's our sales team or our customer success team, or, you know, me and my leadership team. I think there's nothing that replaces that one-to-one conversation with customers. I'll add that the third thing that we're, you know, that Common Room does, that we're incredibly excited about, and, you know, some of the customers we have that are leveraging this include OpenAI and Figma, right? So to give you a tangible example, OpenAI has over 3 million individuals in their Discord server. As you know, AI is a very hot topic. And so one of the things we can do with this massive volume of conversation and questions and topics that the community is talking about is we can leverage AI to make sense of it at scale and get those really rich product feedback insights and keep that loop really tight with their user base. So outside of the customer advisory boards and the one-to-one conversations and, you know, metrics that don't always tell the whole story, you now can leverage, I mean, it's not just Discord, right? We have some customers that have a Reddit subreddit where people are engaging with them on Twitter, where people are submitting issues into a GitHub repo, right? Where people are in their Slack community asking questions about the product every single day. We can plug into all of those, and what we do right now, it's actually really cool, is we aggregate all these unstructured conversations, and then we use fine-tuned ML models to actually bucket them into categories like product bug, or, you know, product request, or even product appreciation. And then within these categories, we will, you know, cluster the important things together to surface, like, what are the biggest topics in product bugs? Right? What are people complaining about across the entire internet? And, you know, it'll list out all those specific conversations, which channels they're happening in, whether it's Discord or LinkedIn or wherever that comment is coming from. And then we'll actually run all of that back through an LLM that's powered by OpenAI to create a generative and intelligent summarization report that you can hand directly to product. You know, I mean, it's real time, which is the coolest thing about it. But product teams can now have, I mean, how powerful would it be, all these ambient conversations about your product and your brand on the internet? You now actually have a structured way and a scalable way to aggregate all that feedback. That's been something that, you know, we're super excited about.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So we can't not talk about generative AI today, clearly. So thank you for ending us on that. Linda and Christine, thank you both for sharing your insights. I love the fact that you're both building companies that enable this product-led growth as well as utilizing it yourself.
Very meta.
So, yeah, very meta. Thanks for your insights today.